Hey, ARESxGOD here, and it's time to talk about new series with episode 1, Undead Unluck, and honestly, this one has been so much fun just from episode 1. I only know some very surface level, pretty much what happened in this episode, but I only knew about his powers before this. I haven't read the manga or the source material, and a bit about hers, but beyond that I have no idea about spoilers, but I wasn't expecting this one to be so much fun. Like, I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but I went in and I'm like, okay, I'm getting there, and the more I watched, the more I wanted to see both of them just doing random shenanigans here. And also I like there's a bit some serious thing related to their past here, especially with the two main characters here. So yeah, this has huge potential, at least for me right now, starting. So let's get into episode 1. Now, at the beginning, it started a bit with transitioning back and forth from the manga she was reading and a bit of her flashbacks there, getting some also curious dark visions in a way. I'm gonna have to go back and watch at each frames with that, and a plane exploding, but that plane is related to her past, and we meet our first main character being Fuko. We find out her name later on into the series, and she's satisfied, wanting to kill herself after finally finishing her manga. And yeah, that's gonna be me when I get to One Piece. I'm joking. But she gets stopped by this weird guy, which later on we find out his name Andy, and we're gonna talk a bit more about that. He stops her and he gets very curious about her. Now, with her here saying, hey, don't touch my body, you're gonna get an incurable disease, but the more she was warning him off, the more interesting he was getting. And he just walks into her knife that she was holding, like casually, no issue, gets stabbed in the chest and grabs her, getting very curious there. But here we see a bit of how her power works. Her unlock triggers, and a part of the railing there or the ground breaks a bit and he falls on the tracks. So that's the end of him. He's dead, but no, his head comes back jumping like a rocket. It's fine. And he starts regening everything about himself, like very fast, fully, no issues, very casually. Yeah, I just got run over, but I'm totally fine. And I gotta say, I really like him, especially the voice actor does such an amazing job, and their dynamics is so awesome. And of course, she calls him a zombie and punches his dick. Which makes sense, of course. What would be the reaction? You have a guy regening in front of you after he got run over. But also there's some curious things about him. He fully regened, but he has 2 scars. One in his head, which we'll get a bit later in the show, but also one on his chest here, which they haven't expanded yet. So those scars weren't regening. Now, here he has jet feet in a way, kind of like Fire Force. That's why even the show gives me a bit Fire Force combined with My Hero Academia. You know how Shinra in Fire Force uses fire to propel himself. He kind of uses blood and regening his feet as at fast speed to fly, which is very interesting. I kind of like that concept there. He goes after her, catches her, jumping from building to building, even holds her on top of a building, don't let go, and starts spinning her to tell him about her power. But here she realizes a bit she's gonna have to spill the beans with everything and get a bit more context to the way the episode started. 10 years ago, when she was 8 years old, her parents were leaving for a trip. She kisses them on the cheek, but unfortunately they die in a freak accident. The motor has issues and the plane explodes. I think like over 200 people died, 270 or something like that. So she blames herself, thinking she triggered that, which, seeing how her powers work, I think so, but I have a lot of question. Did the powers happen then? What if they touched her before 8 years old? how do the power, I have a lot of questions about the power, so yeah, maybe that's gonna be into the future here. But Andy instantly becomes Sherlock Holmes, goes in to check, and kind of Meliodas touches her boobs. And okay, sure, that was an interesting choice to go with it, but that's what happens. And then he gets crushed by a banana box, and he becomes Banana Man when he regens, and she slips and falls off the building. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of one thing links to another with how her powers work here. But what I liked was she finally realized she has things to live for. Hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, regretting, considering how the episode started with her wanting to take her life. And I want her to live, I kind of like her, even from episode 1. But he comes in, catches her, even catches her manga book there, and stops himself with bone spike into the building. I really like the versatility of his power. Like, so far regen has just been simply regen, but kind of like how he's using his powers. I don't think there has been another character that has regen power and has been using them so in such an ingenious way, so to say here. And I can't wait to see more of how he's gonna use his powers. But here they talk a bit, and we realize he also wants to die. Like, this is why he's so interested in her, because he wants death. And considering how his powers are, I don't think he's capable of that, at least so far, unless the scars have a point into that. But also we have this mysterious organization that is keeping track on them, and he takes her to his hideout, wants to test her powers, but they get a bit into it, they run all over the place here, and we get the big reveal that she has very, very long hair, because nobody has been able to cut her hair because of her powers. She didn't want to kill people, the hairdresser, and so on. But before we get into that, his hideout looks like a lab here. So was he made into a lab, or are the powers supernatural? I honestly don't know, but the hideout looked a bit like a lab, so I don't know where to place. Is it supernatural power or science fiction power, or a combination, a bit of both? That's gonna be into the future here. But the emotional thing, I really liked it, with how much she was bothered by her hair, started crying, and he just goes instantly, touches her, grabs her head and starts cutting her hair, and revealing that at some point he was a hairdresser, which sure, okay, makes sense. But her powers, there are some rules to her powers. When you keep touching her, the unlock doesn't trigger, apparently. When you let go, only. Also there's some unwritten rules about it. She's not fully sharing how her powers work, so we're gonna have to discover along with the series. So her newly cut hair looks kind of awesome, short hair, tomboy, you know, she really likes it. That moment meant quite a lot to her. And instantly after that, he gets decapitated and caught by that organization, put into this weird sphere ball, and whatever kind of stops his regeneration. Like, does that ball have an effect that stops his regeneration, or is it that strong, like he can't grow his body because he meets resistance because of that? So I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking way too many things. Now, here is where we find out her name, Fuko, and they also wanted to capture him, and also they got interested into her, revealing that the powers, the ones that have powers, are called negators. I don't know, they negate things in a way, maybe that's what they're trying to say, and want to use her powers maybe for assassination. And I really like how much that hair moment matter, and him touching her without worries. She finally found somebody that she can have a connection, at least at face value, a bit, until we find out more about both of them. But saying she trusts Undead, and she keeps thanking him, and then lightning strikes the guy that was holding the sphere. And yeah, here where I got a bit more curious about him, because he gets out, of course. The guy with the scar and the sword calls him, this guy is an amateur, even with his regen powers, you're gonna be able to take him out. But he says something very interesting. I'm an amateur now, but the past is something else. And the first scar here, he says he put a cork in his brain, he removes that, and apparently his memories he has lived a long life, he has a lot of experiences as a fighter, has a lot of things, obviously, and starts going wild, kills all of them except the Scar guy. But I'm curious here, is that actually helping him, like keeping himself in control instead of going wild, like having so many memories just makes him not fully in control? Or he just doesn't want to deal with the past? Is it more of that side of things? So we're gonna have to find out later in more episodes here. But after he takes care of the henchman, the Scar guy takes Fuko hostage, and he's even willing to sacrifice himself for her, takes off his head and tosses himself over to that guy, which is an interesting sentence to say. But during that transition, Fuko runs off and kisses him on the cheek, saying this is the way to trigger an even bigger unlock. And he regens in that guy's hand, pierces him, which I like the ingenuity of the powers so much here. And goddamn meteor comes crashing down. Like, that's so much unlock there. Sure, just a simple kiss is gonna kill all the dinosaurs in a way. But he's okay, so not even a meteor can take him out, which is a very interesting power to say the least. And here we have a bit of a moment between them after that. Fuko Izumo being her full name, and he says he doesn't remember his name. Does he actually not remember his name, or is it related to the quirk in his head? And she decides to name him Andy from Undead, kind of like a wordplay a bit. Now, I really like his plan, his mentality. Hinsley was like, so just a kiss causes all of that? Yeah, so next time we're gonna have sex. She starts running off. There's a bit of comedy to it, of course. I hope people are not gonna take this way too serious. It's fiction. Learn to relax. It's just something, an animation here. Of course, this is not real life. Relax a bit, relax a bit. I know people have had issues with a lot of series, but it bothers you, just don't watch it. And this is not me condoning any of the behaviors there, but anyway, that out of the way. So far the series seems really fun. I want more of it. So my first impressions are it has a lot of potential, and we need more series like this. Seems super fun. It has the comedy side to it, but also seems to be some serious things happening which you don't know, the past of the characters, that organization, the power system. A lot of questions just from episode 1, which of course are not gonna be answered. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this one more and more. So let me know if you guys want me to keep covering it. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you have read the source material, how is episode 1 so far compared to the manga, which I haven't read the manga. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest videos on the series that I follow. So keep enjoying Undead Unluck. Make sure to check out the podcast, Because Anime. I'm gonna see you again on the next one. Bye bye.